Okay, we'll blast off. So, um, so I'm looking at my three colleagues and myself, but everybody else has cameras off, which is absolutely fine. Let me just read out the little introductory blurb that I have to do. So before I do that, because this is slightly surreal talking to empty, just blank. Hey, there's Ethan. Hello, Ethan. Hey. Yeah, it's like, so I'm just going to assume that everybody is there and can hear me. If you have issues, just pop a message in the chat and I'll keep an eye out for that. But Rory, Sam and Tom will also keep an eye out for that and shout at me if I miss something. So for starters then, I have to read out this blurb. All participatory sessions relating to online open day will be recorded for upload to the web, archive purposes, and to ensure best practice for future recruitment events run by the college. By joining this session, you give consent for the RNCM to record and store your participation. If you do not wish to be an active participant, please keep your camera and microphone switched off. However, you're absolutely welcome to turn your cameras on if you'd like to. Stay muted unless I unmute you or ask you to unmute, because otherwise it descends into chaos. And then I'll chat for a little bit and my colleagues will perhaps, and then we'll be really mainly keen for everybody to ask any questions, discuss anything they'd like to discuss. So, and if your camera is on, just hold your hand up. And if not, just put a question in the chat. So, is everybody happy? I can't tell if you've got your cameras off. Rosie, I can see you. Are you happy? Nod if you're happy. Good. Thumbs up. Excellent. So, this is, thanks Tom for keeping an eye on chat. That's great. Brilliant. I'll keep it open as well. So this is just an introduction to the guitar department at college. So you can see everybody's name on screen, so we don't really need to introduce ourselves, but I'm Craig, obviously. I'll just introduce the other tutors. So Sam Rodwell is a relatively new, is it your second or third year, Sam?
Just finishing second year, I think.
Yeah, second year of being on staff. So Sam was at college for 6 years, undergrad and masters, and did brilliantly. And he absolutely sucked up every possible opportunity that college offered him. And so I was very keen to take him on as a member of staff as soon as he'd left college, because he has, he really exemplified everything that a student should be, and now he's well placed to encourage people and provide all sorts of different types of support. He's very good at photography and video and does lots of his own recording, and he's been incredibly helpful advising the guitar department students on all of those matters. Plus he does some teaching for us, runs classes, helps with the technical test preparation and so on. And he also looks after the guitar department Facebook page, which is sort of growing in significance gradually. Rory graduated some years ago from college, enough years ago that we don't need to mention how many years ago it was. And the bulk of his playing career has been spent as a member of the Aquarelle Guitar Quartet. And if you're not aware of them, then do Google them, look on Spotify, YouTube, etc. They've recorded how many discs for Chandos Records now, Rory?
6, I think, maybe.
Wow.
5, 6, 7, something like that.
Wow, that's very blasé when you don't know how many it actually is. Nice.
It's meant to sound blasé. It's just, yeah, my memory is shocking.
So the Aquarelle Guitar Quartet is arguably the best guitar quartet in the UK, and in the past they've been held up as an example to other college ensembles in terms of how to rehearse and prepare. Obviously playing in guitar ensemble where all the notes are struck, then playing together is harder than in a string quartet when you the beginning of the sounds are more blended. So the Aquarelle Quartet have really taken playing together to new levels almost. So Rory looks after a lot of our ensemble and chamber music coaching in college and does some one-on-one teaching as well. Yeah, so obviously you can, if you're interested, you can Google the quartet, me, Sam, and Tom, of course, and find out more, or you can ask us anything you'd like to as well. So Tom also graduated some time ago. He went on to do a musicology master's at the University of Manchester, and then along with Rory joined the staff a few years ago. And Tom was Tom is spectacularly diverse career-wise. He's a presenter for BBC Radio 3. He has made special programs. He presents live from studio, and he presents live from concerts as well, when such things actually happen and happen again. His playing career is also incredibly diverse, and with a particular focus on contemporary music and a particular focus on orchestral and ensemble music. And he also, apart from playing guitar, he, in those contexts, contemporary, orchestral and ensemble, he's played electric guitar, balalaika, mandolin, banjo. What else, Tom?
Bass balalaika, not just balalaika. 4 different types of banjos in one concert.
Oh, excellent.
I learnt accordion for a gig once as well.
Right,
accordion, that well-known plucked instrument.
Yeah. Nice. So Tom is very diverse in every conceivable way and brings a huge amount of breadth to the guitar department, but also a hugely accomplished soloist as well. And I do my stuff. So I think I'm not going to waffle on, but you know, my own playing career has been really diverse, plenty of solo stuff, concertos, and a huge amount of chamber and ensemble music as well. Apart from doing the solo and concerto stuff, I also regularly play in the London Tango Quintet, which is a Piazzolla band, basically. And lots of varied things as well, all sorts of things on the go at any one time. So,
who's done the most Chandos recordings, you or the Aquarelle Quartet?
Oh, I think I'm ahead. My original contract was for 6 discs, and then there was another couple. So yeah, I think I did at least 8 for them, and I'm recording for them again in August. So having done all the Classic FM stuff for a few years, I think it was 5 Classic FM discs. I haven't been slacking exactly. So anyway, so there we go. But actually, to get a label to take on a guitar quartet is an incredible achievement. And Chandos have stayed very loyal to the Aquarelle Guitar Quartet and vice versa. So that really is a reflection of the quality of the work. So, okay, I don't want to talk endlessly. I'd much rather people ask questions, but I'll just blurb on and let the other guys interrupt as and when. So the guitar department, the Royal Northern, has, you know, the same aims as anyone else will, but we really strive to create well-rounded musicians with the real emphasis is on helping people achieve what they're capable of. Everybody's different. We will all know that, whatever stage you're at now. Some people are adept at some things and not at others, and everybody's different. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. So we really strive to help people identify those aspects of their playing that need more work, and then tailor what you do to really help bolster weaknesses. So that might be something technical, it might be psychological, or it might be musical. And obviously with the college, the size that we have, with the guitar department, tutor staff, but also the other staff within the strings department and within the college generally, no matter what it is, we can find ways of helping people. If you want to do more analysis of fugues or delve more into the psychology of performance or whatever it might be, college can support that, and we obviously strive within the guitar department to support that. Technically, my own preoccupation in the last few years has been with right hand development. So some of our what's called techers, but technique class is significantly focused on right hand development. I feel quite strongly that the right hand is the driver when it comes to playing the guitar. It's the hand that produces 99.9% of the sound that we make, and a right hand that has real strength, facility, and finger independence can really lead you to your best playing. Obviously, I don't neglect the left hand or synchronization between left and right, but I think the focus we've had on right hand exercises and development has been very productive for everyone. From that perspective, if you're wondering what students actually think about the directions we're heading in, you're absolutely welcome to email me, and I can put you in touch with a couple of students if you'd like to ask some questions of current or recently graduated students. Another incredibly important element of being a well-rounded musician is being able to play with others, not just so that you're capable of playing with others, but so that you bring those skills into your solo performance as well. And the absolute bedrock of that is having a really rigorous understanding of how rhythm and pulse function. And because rhythm and pulse are the glue that hold music together, as we all know. And so our ensemble and the chamber music coaching side of things is incredibly important. We're always working at various ensemble things within the department. All of us contribute to that, but Rory leads that aspect of the course. I can't overemphasize how important that is. It's very easy to become completely preoccupied with solo repertoire and technique development, but if you can't comprehend music in a way that it makes it possible to share those ideas with others, you'll be very limited, and also your solo music making will be restricted by that as well, because the way we understand musical phrasing is bedded in those skills that you acquire when you work with other people. So and obviously we don't have a regular part in orchestra, and some people will come from an educational background where they have had the benefit of a guitar ensemble, and some won't. So we really strive to bring everybody up to standard on that front, and that includes obviously solid rhythmic understanding of what we're playing, being able to count and share those concepts with others, be able to follow a conductor, and sight read well, and turn up on time and be prepared as a sort of standard little extra inclusion on that front. So, so what Tom does for us is, apart from the one-on-one teaching, Tom also runs a class called Guitar Lab. And I should also say at this stage that we run a weekly performance class. I normally take it, but it does swap around a little bit. So that is the guitar department's week in, week out opportunity to test your progress in any given week. You can, wait until you have a piece that you feel is ready for a performance, or you could play a section of a piece under speed, and then the next week the same section a bit faster plus a bit more. You can use that class developmentally. Many people like to do that, and I absolutely encourage that. Other people like to hold off until they feel they can present a piece to a more polished standard. But it's an incredibly important class. It's fraternal, it's supportive, and whoever's there from a tutorial perspective will always make observations. It's not like a fully fledged masterclass. It's really orientated around giving you performance opportunities every week, but there'll be some feedback from me or one of my colleagues, and then I will ask a handful of students also to provide feedback. And a couple of reasons that's valuable. One is, if you know that you might be asked to make an observation, then you have to listen attentively. And it also helps to develop your own critical skills for if and when you end up doing some teaching. You have to be able to listen to a performance and then, hang on. No, I didn't. Could you just pop it away for me? Sorry, little household matters. Sorry, ignore that. Okay, what was I waffling on about? Performance class. Yes, if you know you might be asked, then you have to listen attentively and make sensible observations. And the rule behind making those observations is that you always deliver them in a way that you would be willing to receive them. So far from becoming an exercise in criticism, it's an exercise in constructive observation. And what it really does is also help to create really positive bonds between the students. And outside the availability of tutorial staff, the current students often, almost sort of on a weekly basis, will organize classes so they can play to each other. So I love that class because it really does encourage a supportive vibe. It's not just for making constructive criticism. Often people would just say, I think your tone's sounding amazing, or you got through that passage brilliantly, whatever it might be. And it's incredibly important to remember to enjoy the things that we do that have improved, or the things that we do that go well, or we are capable at, because as a student and even as a professional musician, we spend a lot of time being critical of what we do. And if you overdo that, it's very easy to stop enjoying it so much. So performance class is really important from that perspective. Okay, and then so there's ensemble, performance class, one-on-one lessons, other classes, technique class, Sam's classes that are sort of they're put in at slightly random times when the need exists to help a group of people, say, prepare for a technical test or whatever it might be. And then Tom does Guitar Lab, and he is going to tell you some of what that can constitute.
It is anything and everything associated with making music. So it can be, sometimes we'll have a look in some detail at the technical extracts that you have to do for the technical tests in years 1, 2, and 3 as undergraduates. Sometimes there's been sessions when guitars haven't even been taken out, just been talking and showing each other fingernails. So we just had our right hands out and we've just been talking about nails, because in the performance class, because it's a 2-hour session, isn't it, Craig? 2 hours performance class? Yeah.
At least.
So if you've got a couple of people that want to play a couple of longer pieces, that's kind of the session over with, and there's not much opportunity to have a kind of in-depth discussion about things, just by the nature of, people want to play a piece and then the next person playing, so on and so on. So this is a chance to ask the questions that you might not get the chance to ask otherwise, and to get them not just from me and your tutors, but to get them back from students as well, because those 4 years as undergrads or your 2 years as master students, you're so immersed in guitar, and with just the amount of material available online now, is that you tend to have answers that even surprise us as tutors. In particular with things like brands of strings, makers, luthiers who are making instruments, nail shaping techniques, things like that, the kind of products that are on the market. I find that I'm way behind in terms of what you as students know. I probably knew about this when I was a student because I was immersed in it in such a kind of depth as you will be. But the feedback that comes back in these guitar labs is that sometimes the most important things are learned by the students, by teaching each other. And I'm kind of there just to facilitate these sessions so that, there's some kind of structure to it. But in particular with things like nails, people will come with ideas about nails. They can be insane. They can be wildly crazy ideas. but the chance is you get the chance to say what it is, and then we then debate about it, and we either end up agreeing or we end up disagreeing. Again, in a polite way, like Craig says, you ask these questions and you respond in ways that you want to be treated as well. So it's always polite, it's always constructive. It's never allowed to turn into arguments, never allowed, or it gets shut down. So it's really just a chance to ask all the questions and to go through all the things that there's just not time for in other cases. So sessions on amplification. We've had sessions on sight reading. We've had sessions on bringing mindfulness into how you play your instrument, which is becoming increasingly important. So people who practice yoga, for example, or they might do Pilates, can offer something much more than I can. So they might be bringing things like yoga or meditation into their playing in a way that us tutors don't do, and it proves to be hugely beneficial for things like performance anxiety. So Guitar Lab is just this chance to just question things that are considered orthodoxies. So you must shape your nails that way. Really? No. Let's discuss it. It's just about discussion, and we get answers and feedback, and then you take that away, and you can choose to acknowledge it, or you can choose to completely disregard it if you thought it was nonsense. But it's just each session each week just unfolds in a slightly different way.
Excellent, thanks, Tom. I'm just quickly going to answer. If everyone's keeping an eye on the chat, you'll see a couple of questions popping up, and I answered one of them about the performance class. Everybody's in performance class. It's incredibly important to me that the department feels like a unit. Doesn't matter what year you're in. An undergrad might support a postgrad. If the undergrad has played a piece that the postgrad is now playing, they might get together to discuss it, vice versa. It's age, experience, none of that matters. We're all sort of in together. Millen asked a question, what types of ensembles are there? I'll let Rory answer that in relation to guitar ensemble. And the only other thing I'll say is that I would include in that chamber music. And chamber music, in my head, outside the guitar ensemble thing, is guitar plus another instrument. And this is incredibly important because if you're playing, say, with a violinist, not only will you have lessons and coaching with me, Rory, members of the guitar department, you also get that coaching and access to other performance classes because of that instrument's tutor. So it doubles your experience of college. Also, there still are conservative music clubs, festivals that orientate their programming around piano, violin, cello, etc., that wouldn't always take a risk on a guitarist. And if they feel that way about it, they're certainly not going to book a guitar duo or guitar ensemble, but they might well book guitar plus violin, flute, cello, whatever. So chamber music with other instruments is a really important part of that. Rory, just mention briefly about how the ensembles work in college.
Yeah, so ensemble class that I run is more of a directed ensemble. So typically each year we will work on a minimum of one very large scale ensemble piece that tries to include as many of the guitar department as possible, if not all of the guitar department. That will be conducted initially or all the way through by myself. Sometimes we have plans now to bring in actual professional conductors rather than myself as a bit of an amateur to conduct the ensemble. So that's something that will be moving forward. It was meant to happen before lockdown, but sadly COVID put a scupper to that. But certainly next year we do have plans to bring in some professional conductors to give you experience of being rehearsed and performing with a professional conductor. So those are some of the large ensemble works. We have, for instance, an ex-student, Callum. He arranged a wonderful version of Rossini's Barber of Seville overture, which includes use of bass guitars and requinto guitars. So that's a lot of fun, giving guitarists the opportunity to experience an orchestral type environment. Otherwise, there are very good works written by the likes of Roland Diens for mass guitars. We also sometimes split into smaller groups, whether they be quartets, septets, octets, and we rehearse those separately, but those are then performed just by the students without the need of a conductor. So that's in essence the ensemble class that I run. It's slightly larger scale works, but as Craig mentioned, we put a huge emphasis on chamber music in the department. And as he said, whether that's guitar duo, trio, quartet, or whether you're playing with other instruments. And really, the sky is the limit. You can do whatever you want. You can. The wonderful thing about your years at college is that you're surrounded by all these wonderfully talented musicians, all of whom are itching for experience. And you can approach whoever you want. You can start groups. They might last a term. They might last the duration of your time at college. And they can be hugely useful in terms of your development, as Craig mentioned, getting coaching with other departments within the college. And also we have this wonderful thing called the external list, which is essentially like an agency. College acts as your agent. And as soon as we, the staff, feel that you are ready to perform in public as almost like an ambassador of the RNCM, the college can actually offer you paid work. It could be performing for a restaurant, it could be doing background music for an event, or it could be actual proper recitals, some of which can be actually rather well paid. So as a student, if you have both a solo program going, a guitar and violin duo, a guitar quartet, the more things you're involved with, the more chances you have of being used by the college for some of these external events. So being a chamber musician just opens doors. It's a fantastic thing to be involved with. And whilst we don't want you to spread yourself too thin, we certainly encourage you to be as active as a chamber musician as you feel you can be within the time you have at college.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Rory. I know Sam has to go shortly, so he was just going to, Tom suggested that he answer Josh's question about a typical timetable for a week. Can you just go on that one, Noobs, Sam?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously on top of your like one-to-one lesson and the ensemble class, guitar lab, and performance class, you'll get in your first year, it's actually a lot more generalized. So you sort of get quite an overview of everything. So that will involve like a class called musicianship, which obviously helps with your just general musicianship. So you do quite a lot of improvisation, and yeah, just learning how to, it kind of helps with rhythm stuff as well, and how to harmonize around things. And then you'll get like the history of music, and then there'll be a sort of more intense theory class. And then there's another class called professional skills. I think it's called something slightly different now, but that's really good because it's super relevant to being a musician, and it really sets you up for when you do leave. So they make you create websites, they make you come up with YouTube videos, and it sets you up to kind of have a portfolio kind of before you leave. And then when I was there, you had to be involved in something called symphony chorus. And as far as I'm aware, I think you still do that, which is basically being part of a choir. And again, this just helps with your general musicianship, and yeah, just makes you a lot more rounded. And then I had to do other things such as like dalcros, which is almost music to do with movement. But I think the really good thing that they do in the academic side of it is that you can really streamline it to whatever you want. So the higher up in the years, you have a lot more freedom to kind of do exactly what you want to be doing. So if you're not as academically inclined, you can do more practical stuff. So that's really, really good, I think. And also all of the classes are only allowed to go up till 1 o'clock. So you always have plenty of time to do other things like chamber music rehearsals and plenty of practice.
Excellent. Thanks, Sam. Just a couple of things I also wanted to mention. The guitar, I'll come to that in 1 second, Dan. The guitar department owns a number of guitars as well. There's been a brilliant fund, ring-fenced fund at college. So we've been able to buy a Greg Smallman guitar that like John Williams plays, Paul Sheridan, which is another West Australian made instrument that is made along very similar lines to the Smallman, which is an amazing instrument. And over the summer, we're acquiring a copy of a Stauffer instrument, which is early 19th century, that guitarists like Legnani and Giuliani will have played. So to have, and it's made by the best guy in the UK called Gary Southwell, making copies of these types of guitars. So that'll be a brilliant instrument to play. For anybody doing, Giuliani saw any of those key composers, it'll be amazing to be able to lay hands on a first-class instrument and get some insight into how that feels. We're also buying a 7-string Christopher Dean guitar over the summer, which we're having made. And the purpose of that is for people wanting to explore 7 strings playing Dowland works, lute works that were written for a 7-course instrument, or Bach using the 7th string for extra bass notes, or in ensemble. We're also, Mertz, 19th century composer, played a 7-string guitar. So that'll add real depth to what we have. There are also a couple of bass guitars, one very good bass guitar, 2 alto guitars or requintos made by Paul Sheridan again. So those instruments add real depth to the department, and the Sheridan and the Smallman, we invite someone to play while they're in college, depending on when they become available. Okay, and also I'd just like to say that we do once a term, we do try and go and play football or something like that all together. I really like the fraternal vibe. I grew up in a guitar ensemble that sort of played together like that. Some of us play squash fairly regularly as well. I like to thrash everybody given half chance. I think Sam took 1 game off me once, but I'm still loosely the victor. Anyway, so yeah, so we try to have fun as well as working really hard. I just thought of something else. Oh yeah, questions here.
Playing jazz and pop.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So a lot of our guitarists come from oh, everyone say goodbye to Sam. Bye, Sam. He's got to go and teach. There are things in college, the Jazz Collective, and there are opportunities for playing jazz within college. And as long as you're keeping up on the classical front, you can do as much as you like on that side of things. So there is a pop course at college, but they're separate. In a couple of minutes, why?
Just because Christy wants to go to Patty's.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Waiting for phone call.
Okay, sorry. Domestic matters. So yes, there are opportunities, but but not to study both. But it tends to work really well. The people who tend to come to college are really committed to their classical guitar, but also keen and talented on the jazz or electric guitar front, and they continue to pursue that. And we all encourage that diversity. So, some people will form bands inside, using other students in college. So the opportunities are partially provided, and then they are partially what you create for yourself. But one really important thing about being a musician is being imaginative and innovative and energetic. So if you get things going, staff will always support you in that. I'm just checking any other messages. Thanks, Rory, for that. So Dan, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, and James Girling is a really good person to Google. And he was exceptionally talented at both classical and jazz. He won the whole college, there's a competition called the Gold Medal Prize, which he won on the classical guitar at the same time as, oh, all right, I'll shut up now. Okay, so James, excellent, good. And yes, he was winning awards outside college in jazz at the same time as he was winning awards inside college as a classical guitarist. He is exceptional. He's the only person I've met who plays jazz and classical at that level. He is extraordinary. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? If not, we will depart rather than sitting here staring at each other the way one tends to on Zoom. If you do have anything, if you think of anything afterwards, don't hesitate to email me. I suppose you'll find my college email, but my personal email is just craig@craigogden.com. Yeah, don't hesitate to email if you'd like to be put in touch with an existing student to ask questions of them. I will organize that as well. So I hope we will see some of you come to audition at some point in time. And as I say, any questions, any queries at all, get in touch. When college is back up and running, if you're looking at entrance for 2021 or 2022, then also don't hesitate to get in touch and come and have your own sort of personal look around college. Obviously, you can do that on an open day, and that's well and truly worth doing. But if you want to come and have a short lesson with me, sit in on a class with Tom, an ensemble session with Rory, or spend a bit of time in our performance class, we'll always facilitate that. I love the Royal Northern. I think it's a brilliant place to be a student. I have a huge amount of faith in my colleagues and the rest of the college staff, and I would be only too happy to organise your own little, visit insight into how the guitar department and college runs. And Manchester is an incredibly, as Tom just noted, Manchester is an incredibly livable city. As a student, accommodation can be anywhere from extremely close. If you live in the College Hall of Residence, you're a 30-second walk. You can get out of bed at 5 to 9 and be in a lecture by 9. And it's cheap and safe. And yeah, there are lots of real advantages to being in Manchester, but I won't waffle on about that. Okay, no last queries or comments. I will thank all of you for attending. Get in touch if you need anything. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of whatever is on for Open Day. Okay, and yeah, Ethan, I might see you at class tomorrow night. Brilliant. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.